reflection is entitled Compassion, Hope, and Faith. Jesus journeyed to a city called Nain, and his disciples and a large crowd accompanied him. As he drew near to the gate of the city, a man who had died was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. A large crowd from the city was with her. Try to imagine this mother. She had been married. She and her husband had a child. They raised their child. She and her son watched her husband die. And then she watched her son die and was participating in his funeral. Since he was her only son, she was now alone. When we think about this woman, it is easy to feel compassion for her. Her heart would have been filled with a sorrow that is tangible to anyone with empathy. Her heart might also have been filled with fear. At that time, a widow would have had a very difficult time taking care of herself in a rural village. With her husband gone, she would have had to rely upon her son to provide for her as she aged. But now that he was gone, her heart would have not felt only the pain of his loss, but also fear for her future. What would become of her? Who would provide food for her year after year? Would she be reduced to begging and poverty? It is in the context of this very real sorrow and fear that Jesus enters her life. We do not know if she knew anything about Jesus. It appears she was not one of his followers and might not have even heard about Jesus, since he had not been ministering publicly for very long. Jesus' encounter with her and her dead son appears to be unplanned and unexpected. What is it that moves Jesus to raise this man from the dead? It does not appear to be a response to anyone's faith within the village. It is not even done at anyone's request. Instead, it appears to be done purely out of Jesus' compassion for this mother. At least that's how it seems at first read. And though Jesus clearly acted out of compassion for her, if we consider the entire context, there might also be a secondary motive. Jesus, his disciples, and a large crowd were all walking together through this village. Since Jesus' miracles were normally performed in response to people's faith, it is most likely that faith was a contributing factor to this miracle. The faith that called forth this miracle, however, could only have come from the crowds of people who were walking with Jesus from Capernaum. The day prior, these same crowds witnessed Jesus heal the servant of a centurion. They clearly believed in Jesus. As they walked with him and encountered this funeral procession, it was not only Jesus' heart that was moved with compassion, it was also the hearts of his followers. Therefore, as Jesus' followers witnessed this mother's sorrow and then witnessed Jesus' own human sorrow and compassion for her, they would have had hope that he would do something. Their hope would have been supernatural in origin, which means that it was also united with faith. By faith, they knew Jesus would act. Thus, in a very real way, the compassion, hope, and faith of the people traveling with Jesus would have called forth his almighty power to heal, and Jesus responded. There are many ways to act as mediators of God's grace. One way to do so is by growing in compassion for others and hope in God. When we witness the sufferings of others, allow ourselves to feel compassion for them, manifest hope in the power of God to heal, and then stand there in faith, waiting for God to act, God will be compelled to act. Our holy compassion, hope, and faith act as a prayer to which God always responds. The crowds accompanying Jesus through the village of Nain appear to have acted in this manner, and inspired by their witness, we too must act as intercessors for others in the same way. Today's reflection is entitled, The Rule of Love or Justice. We cannot escape the hand of God. He is the one who sustains the universe and keeps all things in being. Without His constant care, we would cease to exist. But we remain under His providential hand in one of two ways. Either we are guided by the rule of love or by the rule of justice. The rule of justice is God's way of guiding our lives when we turn away from Him. We cannot escape His justice here or at the time of death. When we sin, especially in a serious way, we become slaves to our sin on account of the justice of God. He leaves us to experience the imprisonment of sin on account of His great mercy. It is mercy in that the ill effects of His justice are imposed so as to call us to repentance. But those who live under the rule of love are blessed to live on a whole new level. These holy souls bask in the mercy of God and are freed from the effects of sin. They experience the numerous fruits of the Spirit and act in accord with the holy will of God. Which rule do you live by? Are you regularly falling from grace and encountering the justice of God in your life? Or are you striving to live by His rule of love? Wherever you find yourself today, know that it is a gift of God's mercy. Allow His justice to redirect your life when you fall, and seek to embrace the full outpouring of His mercy. The Lord will never leave you, but it's up to you how you will experience His mercy. Jesus, I trust in you.